time is 6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited and read by Ramesh Pires. First, the headlines. The Colombo Food Magistrate issues notice on former President Maithripala Sirisena over Easter Sunday attacks. Japan to grant $3.5 million emergency humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. Passports to be issued on Monday, September the 19th for those with prior appointments. A special public holiday and a day of mourning declared on Monday, the 19th of September, in view of the late Queen Elizabeth II's state funeral. The Colombo Lotus Towers opening day earnings exceed 1 million rupees. The 2022 edition of the Colombo International Book Fair commenced today at the BMICH. In international news, US imposed sanctions on Russian technology sector and Ukraine proxies. In sports, it's cricket. Sri Lanka cricket to take cricket to the villages, starting from Polonnaruwa. Now the local news in detail. The Colombo Food Magistrate today issued notice on former President Maithripala Sirisena to appear before courts on October 14th after considering a private plane seeking to name him as an accused of Easter Sunday attacks for failing to prevent it. Colombo Food Magistrate Tirina Gamage issued the notice after considering a private plane submitted by Reverend Father Cyril Gamani and Jesudasan Nadesan, a victim of the Easter Sunday terror attack. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, Hayashi Yoshimasa, said that a decision was made to grant $3.5 million in emergency humanitarian aid to support Sri Lanka. Speaking at a press conference, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said that in May 3rd, $3 million emergency grant was already provided. However, as the economic situation continued to worsen, even afterwards, a heightened need for humanitarian aid emerged. Therefore, this support will be going through the World Food Programme, the International Red Cross, and the UNICEF in order to directly benefit the Sri Lankan citizens. Japan also agreed to host a creditor conference on behalf of Sri Lanka and in its efforts to restructure debt. In the meantime, India announced that it has planned to stop financial aid to Sri Lanka after the IMF bailout. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says unloading of a 92-octane petrol cargo of 37,000 metric tons and a crude oil cargo of 100,000 metric tons will commence today. He also said that a diesel cargo of 40,000 metric tons that commenced unloading 2 days ago will be unloaded by tomorrow morning. He said in a tweet, one more diesel cargo of 40,000 metric tons is expected to be released upon payment. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. The Colombo Lotus Tower, which was officially declared open to the public last afternoon, has reportedly earned an income exceeding 1 million rupees through ticket sales within yesterday. The Chief Executive Officer of Colombo Lotus Tower Private Limited, retired Major General Prasad Samarasinghe, pointed out that the first day's income was close to 1.5 million rupees. Meanwhile, he added that a total of 2,612 persons had visited the Lotus Tower within yesterday, while this includes 21 foreigners. The members of the public are now allowed to visit the tower by purchasing a ticket for 500 rupees or 2,000 rupees. For a foreign national, the ticket is priced at $20. Accordingly, the public has the opportunity to visit the Lotus Tower from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. on weekdays and from 12 noon to 12 p.m. on weekends. The 2022 edition of the Colombo International Book Fair opened today at the BMICH, organized by the Book Publishers Association. The Colombo International Book Fair 2022 will be held from 16th to 25th of September. This annual event, which extends over a week, is organized by the Sri Lanka Book Publishers Association for the 23rd time. And that ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to the main news story. The Department of Immigration and Immigration says that although Monday, September 19th has been declared as a government holiday, passports will be issued for those who have already made appointments on Monday. However, the Controller General of the Department of Immigration and Immigration says the head office and the regional offices of the relevant department will be open only for the applicants who have made prior appointments to obtain passports under one-day and normal services. September 19th was declared as a special government holiday and a day of national mourning by the Sri Lankan government in view of the funeral of the late Queen Elizabeth II. And that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, the Ministry of Public Administration has declared Monday, the 19th of September, as a special holiday for state institutions. The Secretary to the Ministry said that the special holiday has been announced in line with the day of mourning for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Last week, the government announced that the 19th of September has been declared a day of mourning in view of the passing of the United Kingdom's longest-serving monarch. Meanwhile, the Minister of Education has declared Monday, the 19th of September, a holiday for government schools and government-approved private schools. The ministry said that the holiday has been provided in line with the holiday declared for state institutions on Monday. And that came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to the World News Bulletin. First, the headlines. US imposed sanctions on Russian technology sector and Ukraine proxies. Pakistan floods likely made worse by global warming. TGV unveils high-speed trains of the future. Now the world news in detail. The US has imposed sanctions on a long list of Russian officials and companies, ramping up pressure for the invasion of Ukraine while hoping to hobble any attempt to rebuild its heavily damaged defense sector. Top officials overseeing Russian security markets, operations, a neo-Nazi fighter group, Russian and pro-Russian officials in occupied parts of Ukraine, and the removal of Ukrainian children to Russia were all put on the US blacklist on Thursday. In tandem, US sanctions were put on Russian space, computing and technology firms in an effort to cripple Russia's technology development and stifle its ability to refurbish and modernize its military after broad losses in Ukraine. Global warming is likely to have played a role in the devastating floods that hit Pakistan, say scientists. Researchers from the World Weather Attribution Group says climate change may have increased the intensity of rainfall. However, there were many uncertainties in the results, so the team were unable to quantify the scale of the impact. The scientists believe there's roughly a 1% chance of such an event happening in any coming year. In the 2 months since flooding began in Pakistan, tens of millions of people have been affected, with around 1,500 dying because of the rising waters. The intensity of the downpours saw the river Indus burst its banks, while landslides and urban flash floods swamped many areas. French railway company SNCF and train manufacturer Alstom have unveiled the first completed TGV-M, a next-generation high-speed double-decker train that features a longer, more aerodynamic nose perfect for hurtling across the French countryside. Alstom dubbed the new train the TGV of the future. TGV stands for Train Grande Vitesse, meaning high-speed train. This swanky new design will premiere on the Paris rail network in 2024 and across the country over the following 10 years. To end this global world news, headlines once again. US imposed sanctions on Russian technology sector and Ukraine proxies. Pakistan floods likely made worse by global warming, and TGV unveils high-speed trains of the future. And that ends world news. Moving on to development news. The Department of Agriculture has recommended using 30% organic fertilizer and 70% chemical fertilizers for cultivation in the upcoming 2022 and 2023 Maha season. Accordingly, the Finance Committee has approved the proposal presented by the Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira, to provide a subsidy of 20,000 rupees per hectare to paddy farmers who use organic fertilizers to encourage the use of organic fertilizer in paddy cultivation in the Maha season. The government will allocate 16,000 million rupees to provide the subsidy to the farmers. The Minister of Agriculture disclosed the plans in this regard on Wednesday while participating in a program organized by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And that was Development News.
Sports News is brought to you by...
With many values that bind us beyond the transaction, we are Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news. Cricket. Sri Lanka Cricket has organized a program to provide players with innate talents the opportunity to represent the national team. This is being implemented under the Cricket to the Villages concept of the Sri Lanka Cricket National Development Pathway Program. The first stage of the program will start on the 18th from the Polonnaruwa district. The purpose of this program is to evaluate the talent of children in schools that do not engage in competitive cricket under the assistance of the Sri Lanka Cricket Council. In other sports news, tennis. Fellow living legend Serena Williams, who said she is evolving away from tennis herself, has hailed retiring Roger Federer as an inspiration. Federer, age 41, will end a career that featured 20 Grand Slam singles titles after the Laver Cup, which begins in London on the 23rd September. Federer's decision to retire from the sport after 3 years blighted by knee injuries has prompted a wave of tributes. Federer's great arch-rival, Rafael Nadal, one of only 2 men's players with more Grand Slam single titles, said it was a sad day for sport. And that was sports news.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, marking a new benchmark in the SME sector, Sri Lanka's leading private sector bank, HNB PLC, partnered with Equity Hong Kong Limited to offer local business equity funding facilities to access to new marketplaces in Hong Kong, Dubai and Singapore. The partnership will ensure HNB SME customers can seamlessly integrate and access new markets with the support of Equity. The partnership will give Sri Lankan SMEs the necessary support to incorporate their businesses overseas. Moreover, selected SMEs will be provided with equity investments while ensuring a convenient and seamless market experience. And that came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
The fastest way to earn the highest interest from NSB, now extended till the 30th of September just for you. Your short-term deposits receive an attractive interest rate of 20% in 3 months and 22% in 7 months. Visit a bank branch or a main postal office today. NSB, the only bank with 100% government guarantee.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, according to the Central Bank's Purchasing Managers Index survey released on Friday, both manufacturing and service sectors in Sri Lanka have shown increased activity in August 2022. Manufacturing PMI recorded an index value of 49.6 in August 2022, up from July, yet at slightly below the neutral threshold level. The Central Bank report said the rate of decline of manufacturing activities was softened with the improvements reported in employment and stock of purchases compared to the previous month, while production and new orders declined at a slower pace. And that was economic news. The weather report is next.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
And finally, moving on to the weather report. The Meteorological Department forecasts fish showers to occur in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Kandy, Tuara Elia, Gaul and Matara districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The Colombo Fort Magistrate issues notice on former President Maithripala Sirisena over Easter Sunday attacks. Japan to grant $3.5 million emergency humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. Passports to be issued on Monday, September the 19th for those with prior appointments. A special public holiday and a day of mourning declared on Monday, the 19th of September, in view of the late Queen Elizabeth II's state funeral. The Colombo Lotus Towers opening day earnings exceed 1 million rupees. The 2022 edition of the Colombo International Book Fair commenced today at the BMSCH. In news overseas, US imposed sanctions on Russian technology sector and Ukraine proxies. In sports, it's cricket, Sri Lanka cricket to take cricket to the villages, starting from Polonnaruwa. And that ends this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.